that person a VIP? Or can I build one? If they do, they're then say, okay, I want that person. So what happened was the trafficker would then say, okay, I want that person. I'll pop down general admission for that person. Now they want to know, is that person a VIP? Or can I build one? If they do, there's a contract like this. Because since I was 4 years old, let's say this part got made. Does that make sense? This section, I'm gonna pass this around right here. So let's say this section was made, just this small section when I was 4. Does that make sense? Sorry, did this one? No. Right? Then when I turned like 8 years old, these 2 sections were made. Does that make sense? Then when I turned like 12 years old, these sections were made. Now you have this much of a contract. Does that make sense? Each trafficker, each handler now goes to an MK Ultra programmer. Have y'all seen some of those in the chat? They pop up and they're like, I'm a Python programmer, I'm a this programmer. There's so many names that people don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know, like they say it like there's programmers and handlers. Do they really know what they're talking about? Because if you actually ask them to break it down for you, they wouldn't be able to answer you. I mean, seriously, if you see some of these, well, I'm about to say a name. If you see some of these truth tellers, other survivors that are doing platforms, you've seen some of them that use us as stink bait. You know what I'm talking about. I know so many names come to mind, not just one, right? And they have these seminars. It was not easy to get here. That's not what I'm thinking of, right? What happens is so after a certain age, all this is made. Now, I know you're looking at this like there's so many things on this, right? There's sections. Huh?
So that's not a real MK Ultra blueprint. That's just a one I pulled off the internet, but it looks close enough alike.
We can't show you my real one.
Because it would be too dangerous to show you the real.
Yeah.
So don't, you lied, it's not a real blueprint. But it looks like it, and so you guys can get a visual, we blew it up like that.
If I show you like this and somebody took a picture of this and this is really on, you could drop me by looking at this section. You could drop me by taking a look at this quadrant. You could find one of my altars and switch up a system and make us a vegetable. That's how much the remote goes to somebody's life. Britney Spears, somebody has this. And so what's happening is that twangy one is over here, on this side, right here. I'm just gonna give you an example. There's a twangy one. You know that twangy one? Yeah? Then there's one that talks like a baby. They're all the way over here, right? There's an evil person, there's evil people, programmers, encryptors, stitchers, decoders, that sit back and they plot on people's lives. And they plot on it the same way that people plot on CPS children on a file. Do you know what I mean? There's some CPS kids where they don't know the kid. They read their file. They never met the kid. They don't try to talk to them. They don't sincerely know what the hell is going on. But the first thing they want to say is, I know them because I read their file. You know what I mean? It's this. So what happens is they go to this, after they do an auction, they go to this blueprint and they say, I want someone who can entertain. And I'll pay you $20,000 if you can at least point me the quadrant of what that's in. So that's this section. And they say, okay, I'll go to this section, I'll pick this altar. You want to build that person into the slave that you want. When they're done building that person, they create another one. And in order to create another one, it's money. Okay, so then they take another section of this blueprint and they find another altar. And if they don't have an altar, they create one.
Toward the end of the night, much transpired behind the scenes. Ali abruptly ended her talk and was escorted out by her security detail. Once in the green room, her female security and 8 90s angels witnessed her being laid on the icy cement floor. They assisted in putting a fan on her, as well as placing ice packs on her legs, neck, and arms. It was 50 degrees in New Mexico that night. Ali's entire body overheated and went numb. It took over 30 minutes for her body to regulate itself. There will always be consequences when a survivor speaks out or attempts to break their programming. Most every survivor has programming in place that allows a handler to be able to remotely control a survivor's temperature, heart rate, and blood pressure, as well as activate hives and or create the appearance of a death or coma state in the body. This is reason number 210 why we say a survivor is never truly free.
Prior to the live event and the march, Ali signed a DNR, do not resuscitate order, meaning that if anything happened, that she didn't want any life preventative measures taken on her behalf. A lot of people were very disturbed by that, and I need to explain to you the reasoning for that. Ali's enemies did not operate the way average people do. They don't think the same. Because of that, we continually have to think, navigate, and maneuver around them. Weeks prior to the march, money was laid down on her contract to hire somebody to stab her and shoot her on the side of the street in hopes that there would be so much blood and so much chaos that somebody would call 911. An ambulance was set to be sent and dispatched. That would have separated her from me. While she was in the ambulance, the plan was to trigger her programming, to make it look like she died, to make it look like she was in a coma. And yes, they do have programming that they can activate to do those things. We've dealt with that in the past. Her enemies were very excited. They were in a frenzy. They were discussing how they were going to divide up her blood when she was taken to the hospital. We didn't have too many other options to prevent that. As you'll see in the videos, Ali is in a bulletproof vest. She does have security with her. But a week or so prior to the event, one of the angels suggested a DNR. And as soon as that was said, that put a check in my spirit. I knew that was our only maneuver. I knew that was our best option. So we set about to find somebody a doctor that could see her and sign the DNR for her. And agree to that. Usually they won't do that because of her young age. They usually do it for older people. But they made an exception in this case. A DNR was signed, it was notarized, and that stopped the problem. When you sign a contract, be it a contract for an apartment, be it a wedding certificate, any kind of a contract you sign, those things carry a lot of weight. That works the same in an evil world. When we signed the DNR, we each signed one. When we signed the DNR, that stopped that problem. Whoever put the money down on her contract lost their money, and they lost their ability to attack her in that way. With God's help, we were able to outmaneuver them. And you got to understand, when you're dealing with this depth of evil, when you're dealing with MK Ultra survivors, when you're dealing with trafficking survivors, you must daily hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and then just trust that God's got you for the rest of the time. And that's just a daily reality for a survivor.